India's new climate targets. Why in discussion? 9 months after the Prime Minister made some key promises at the Climate Change Summit in Glasgow last year, the government converted two of them into official targets, which will now be part of India's international climate commitments for 2030. Under the climate action target, India is now committed to achieve around 50% of electric power installed capacity from non-fossil fuel based energy resources by 2030 from the earlier 40%. India's second target is to reduce emissions intensity from 33 to 35% by 2030 to 40% from 2005 levels by 2030. Along with the above new targets, the Prime Minister also said that in 2030, at least 500 gigawatt of India's installed electricity generation capacity will be based on non-fossil fuel sources. India's progress on high climate goals. Both of these new targets are related to reduction in the intensity of carbon emissions and the proportion of non-fossil sources in electricity generation. India is on track to achieve its current targets well ahead of the 2030 deadline. India's emissions intensity in 2016 was 24% lower than 2005 levels. It is very likely that the target of reduction of 33 to 35% will be achieved by India already. To meet the new target to reduce further by 10 to 12% is not a very challenging task for India. India has officially achieved the target of at least 40% of its electricity coming from non-fossil fuels. According to the latest data from the Ministry of Power, 41.5% of India's current installed power capacity of 403 gigawatt is now powered by non-fossil fuels. Promises made by India at Glasgow conference. India had announced that India's non-fossil fuel power generation capacity will reach 500 gigawatt in 2030. India will cut the equivalent of at least 1 billion tons of carbon dioxide from its net estimated emissions between now and 2030. The target of 500 gigawatt of non-fossil fuel power capacity for 2030 is not easy. Of the current installed capacity of 403 gigawatt, more than 236 gigawatt or 58.5% comes from fossil fuel sources, while non-fossil fuels, which include not only renewable energy such as solar or wind, but only 167 gigawatt from hydropower, nuclear and other capacity comes. Capacity addition in non-fossil sources will have to be tripled in the next 10 years to reach the 500 gigawatt target. Challenges related to achieving current goals for India. India is likely to depend on the availability of international finance and technology from developed countries to meet its increased climate commitments. The Nationally Determined Contribution (NDC) talks about the need for low-cost international finance and technology transfer, but not their availability.